Good. Right. As I said, I'm Patrick and I run the energy bill in DECC. I can't claim to be the chief drafter. We do Parliamentary Council drafts our bill. I think I'm probably the chief chivier and project manager of all of this. What I want to cover is broadly four areas. The Green Deal, the other contents of the energy bill. I want to talk a little bit, as much as I can, about timing and handling, and then I want to just flag some things which are not in the energy bill but are important to just flag. So, Green Deal is kind of the flagship measure in the bill, and what it is a new financing framework to finance energy efficiency measures in buildings. And the premise here is that by creating a mechanism by which you can take out essentially financing but attach the cost of the financing to your electricity bill rather than taking out a personal loan, we can create a mechanism by which owners and renters of properties can upgrade their properties without taking out without experiencing upfront capital cost. Another plank of the Green Deal would be trying to make sure that it follows the golden rule in that the savings you make on your energy bill are more than offset the charge on your electricity bill. So it should be a very, very attractive proposition to both homeowners and the non-domestic sector. It's really important to say this is not old government. This is we're trying to be quite innovative here, and rather than create a very complicated delivery landscape, what we want to do is create a market in which market participants can innovate. So, although we do need to regulate things like accreditation and products and ensure that the financing is compliant with things like the Consumer Credit Act, we're not trying to design something in great detail. What we want to do is provide a framework in which you guys can do that. And one of my key messages here is help us during the passage of the bill and help us during the drafting of the secondary legislation so we get the framework right so you guys can go off and make it work. Complementary to the Green Deal, there will be a new energy company obligation, and that will replace the old CERT, which comes to an end in 2012, and that will be a mechanism by which we can target more vulnerable people and target more vulnerable, hard-to-treat properties, which might not necessarily work just on a simple golden rule mechanism. Timing for all of this is that we're talking about introducing a bill before Christmas, consulting on guidance around the mechanism very early next year, and starting to draft the secondary legislation very next year, and then taking the secondary legislation through Parliament early in 2012, with a view to having the Green Deal operational in autumn 2012. On the other measures of the bill, there's quite a lot, and it's fair to say that these are not getting quite a lot. These aren't kind of big bang stuff, but they're important and you should know about them. Cut on energy efficiency, we're taking a set of measures around smart meters so we can extend the rollout and direct that rollout to make sure that we can address unforeseen issues and get it right. Smart meters, we think, are an important part of the picture in terms of the Green Deal and be an important mechanism by which things like billing can work. We'll be amending the energy performance certificate legislation to work for the Green Deal. And then on energy security, we'll be doing a number of things which in some ways are paving for work which we'll be consulting on later in the year around electricity market reform, specifically measures to increase Ofgem's powers to monitor the electricity market and monitor both security supply both now and in the future, and what companies are doing to address the security supply of the electricity market. And with the gas market, we'll be strengthening the market incentive mechanism, essentially allowing us to modulate and increase the cash-out price to make sure that the UK is attractive in times of gas scarcity. scarcity rather. Bill's also going to allow for a special administration regime for energy companies. This shouldn't be alarming. All it's trying to make sure of is that we've got a backstop in the very unlikely event that any energy company goes into administration, and a better mechanism than the ones we have at the moment. Also in the bill, we will be taking powers around third-party access to upstream oil and gas infrastructure, and this is trying to make it easier for small market participants to engage in development of small oil fields, accessing on a fair basis existing oil infrastructure. And then there'll be measures to allow us to de-designate the continental shelf, and this is a very techie measure that's allowing us to do a deal with Ireland to maximise our continental shelves. This will probably mean this will mean something to the oil people in the room, probably no one else. And then a whole range of measures to facilitate investment, building on Jim's themes, and I'll just flag a couple. One is to extend our ability to direct the offshore transmission regime. This is just to make sure that you can wire up offshore electricity generation, and changes to the nuclear-funded decommissioning arrangements, which will allow us to restrict the Secretary of State's ability to modulate agreements after they've been entered into, which would de-risk that aspect of nuclear development. On timing and handling, I think it's fair to say that I expect the bill to be, in principle, not controversial in terms of what's in the bill. I think there's going to be a lot of interest around the Green Deal. I think everyone in this room should be interested in this, and I think many of you are going to want to play into parliamentary debates. There'll be lots of people trying to add things to the regime. There'll be lots of people trying to specify exactly what it should and should not support. And it's important that you help us get that right, both in terms of challenging what we've put forward as legislation as we introduce it, but also to help us get it right and balance all sorts of interest groups who are going to be acting. As I said, we're talking about introducing before Christmas, and I can't give you an exact date, but I would say around the end of this month, early next month would be a good guess. What we hope to do is we hope to try and take it through pretty quickly, and we're aiming to get that bill through, I would hope, before summer recess, fingers crossed. Lastly, I just wanted to raise things which are not in the bill, both in terms of the context of handling, in that there's going to be a lot of people who want to see things in the bill that aren't there, and it's important that we get that right, and we put things in the bill which should be put in the bill. We wait to put other things in the bill. And I would highlight three issues. One is our electricity market reform package, on which we'll be consulting pretty much in parallel with the bill's passage through Parliament. The outputs of the Ofgem review and DECC institutional review, all of which our aim to do is to legislate for that later in this Parliament. I've kind of cantered through that, but that's probably enough to get getting on with.
Great, thank you.